Hey, welcome back to the Buck Junkie podcast. We're here today to talk about our favorite thing. That's deer hunting, being outside. We might mix in a little fishing today, right, guys?
Might mix in a little fishing.
So, yeah, that's what it was Mark's week to come up with some ideas to talk about. And so we're going to talk about, how fishing kind of leads you to hunting and a lot of times, especially with youth and stuff like that.
Exactly. I mean, everybody has a kid fishing story, and I don't know of a single deer hunter in our neck of the woods that does not fish too,
Yeah.
So it kind of
Hand in hand.
goes hand in hand.
Yeah, that's why it ain't, I know we're buck junkies, but we're fish junkies, we're turkey junkies, we're all the junkies.
Right now we can't shoot bucks, so we got to do something else.
That's right. We didn't really think about that when we got started. Needing stuff to talk about. But before we get into that, we had some, stuff going on at the farm this weekend or past week since our last podcast. We, we're getting into it's time to things are starting greening up. It's time to start thinking about getting some seeds in the ground, and we kind of had a game plan. We had our seed rep come out and talk to us about some things, and me and Mike, you'll probably talk about that. And what else? Jamie, y'all did some work down there this past weekend. Mark, you did some work.
Done a little tree trimming and trying to get some trails opened up.
I took Michael fishing down there Saturday, and we're just going to talk about all that stuff today.
It's that time of year, we're kind of in a lull stage. You get the itch just to go and just to get down there. Right. So,
but it's going to be interesting to say the least. And since we're talking about fishing, and we went fishing Saturday. We got a little pond. We got several little ponds on the place where we're hunting, and most of them are. I would say they're overpopulated. What do y'all think? Y'all all fished them.
With the first time we fished, I think we caught 15 or 20 bass, and I'm like, man, I guess I need to start keeping them. we ended up carrying home like 18.
Yeah, because they get size limited,
and they look exactly the same. Yep. Like you catch 10 of them, they're all the exact same length, same color. There's no different size or anything like that.
Oh, that's one good one in there.
I caught a pretty good one this weekend. I sent a picture. I sent it to y'all. I think I sent it to Mikey. But they're cow ponds, I guess you'd call them. This place property that had cow pastures on it. People had previous owners let people graze cows on it, and those ponds just end up with fish in them. I don't think anybody stocked them. It just ends up being that way. We've got some big bluegills in them, and we got some bass. I hadn't caught any catfish. I hadn't caught any other species except a bass or bluegill. Y'all.
Yes, that's all I've got.
Yeah, but I just wanted to see, since it's kind of springtime, we never really fished with live bait in there. We've always throwing jigs or little spinners or worms or soft plastic, something like that. But I went and bought a tube of crickets and a couple dozen minnows. we were just took Rochelle with us. She fished some and turned Michael loose on them. And we had a big time Saturday. The weather was beautiful out there. Hooked in. I caught the biggest one I caught. I bet it went over 3 pounds. It was for a little pond like that, it's a good sized little bass. But we didn't keep any of them. We let them all go.
But Shell was chumming the water with the crickets and the minnows.
I had to watch her, man. I had her chair and had her little zip code 33. She didn't want nothing fancy. I said, I got just the pole for you, just a step above a Snoopy.
Yeah.
So we turned her loose with that 33, and I rigged it up for her. Had a little cork on it, a little split shot, and a little light gauge hook. And showed her how to put a minnow on and a cricket, and off she went.
Did she kill the minnows and crickets, or you just pitch them live?
Oh no! Well, the minnows, she was feeling sorry for them. You know how minnows do in a bucket; they'll start coming up top, wanting to get air. Because I think it was 3 dozen minnows when I bought.
You was ready to stock the pond with minnows. What you was doing?
well, I didn't know. If they get to bite, and we was going to catch them,
You should have given a little drink of Miller Lite. They'd come back to life.
Yeah, they were. You know what she did? She had a straw. She said, "I'm gonna put some air in there for aerate them."
No, she didn't.
I don't know where she got a straw.
That was a TikTok.
Oh, I should have recorded it. I said, "Whatever you do, don't suck it back up." She was there. She was blowing bubbles. I said, "You giving them carbon dioxide? How's that helping?" She's like, "Well, it's bubbling them. Maybe it's generating some air." But anyway, the fish didn't get before they would do, they'd come up there and they'd start to getting on their side a little bit. She was scooping them out and pitching them out in the lake. She said she was giving them the effort. If they wanted to live, they
one
could
last
live.
chance.
It didn't take them long. As soon as she threw some in the water, they started busting them. Oh, it's busting them. So she had them chummed up, and she moved on from minnows to crickets, and we had crickets swimming everywhere. And then it turned them into a frenzy. I'm sure it was a little brim and everything, but there was some pretty good fish jumping. So
what you're saying is the pond fish like it when Shell's in her chair.
They like it when she's in there, yeah.
Like a buffet.
Yeah, but we caught several.
That's something I can't hardly stand. Worms, nothing
Really?
bother. I can't stand messing with a cricket.
Oh.
So I just
Little scratchy legs.
Yeah,
I just don't like
like
it.
a June bug
They
getting
don't
on
bother
you.
me.
Pretty.
I had one time I had a minnow and a cricket on there.
What was
I
it?
was giving them a buffet.
What is it? Locust or katydids or locusts you fish with too for catfish? You put them on top of the water.
Oh, you can fish with those locusts that
Make all the racket.
Cicadas?
yeah, the most
Cicadas.
Yeah.
We always call them locusts, but we used to fish with them. Me and Hunter when we was kids. You put them on. Of course, when you hook one of them, Baz hate to say it, they make all kind of racket.
Yeah, it sounds horrible.
Them old frozen worms you had's been about the best.
Table
thing.
worms,
Yeah.
man.
Top worms, man.
If they won't bite that, they ain't biting.
Secret
They-
ingredient.
They love them.
We used to go fish spillway. And that's how it was. Everybody else fishing night crawlers. We'd be the only ones catching fish. They're like, man, what are you fishing with? Just worms. I said, man, them worms yellow.
A lot of people don't know what they are.
Yeah. What time of year do you get them?
Usually end of July.
Yeah, they'll be coming up.
Hot.
long.
Yeah, it's got to be hot.
And if
You
you
got to
got,
shake the tree and pick them up off the ground.
as long as you don't have wasps,
Huh.
if they get up with wasps, you ain't gonna have worm.
Wasp and dirt daubers both get them.
That's my problem. I got wasp everywhere.
But I guess you're saying you're on the board for
I'm
fishing.
on the board.
You're
yeah.
on the board.
I had some fish, man. If I had to eat dinner, I'd have had. We had plenty of fish to make a fish fry. I fried fish. I just had some crappie laid out.
I'm ready. We need to get down there and fish. We got a busy couple of weeks. We're gonna have to slip down there though, for sure.
They're ready. They're ready to bite.
Jamie, what's been going on at the farm?
Man, me and Mikey, and he was down there last weekend, done a little tree trimming, bush hogging. Kind of talked about some equipment our wish list of equipment, I guess you'd say, plus what we have last week. And
What did you wish you had last week?
Man.
Anything?
I think it was a skid steer. What I wanted.
A mulching.
If you're gonna go big. Don't go small.
Don't go small. I want a dozer.
Yeah,
That's on mine.
I would love to see you run a dozer down there. We would tear it from junk.
Oh, it'd
I
be
just point me in the right direction.
Yeah.
Let me go.
when you
No.
see the fence, turn around, come back the other way.
So what was that thing Chisholm showed us on the front of a dozer that dude had down in October County?
cutter blade.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
a clearing blade.
It was like a V-nose.
V-nose.
On the front. Man, he was taking down some trees.
It
So
pretty
they-
much just shears it off. I
Yeah,
mean,
it cuts it off right at the root. Then
you just push them up in a big brush pile and burn them.
Yep.
there's a couple like different ones. Like they make some that's like a smooth blade. It does smaller stuff, and then a lot of your bigger dozers, like your D9s, they'll put actually like a serrated style blade, and it cuts.
What
just
are we
like
talking
saw.
about? Like, if I want to go stroke a check out for one, what do I got to
You have to have big dozers. I mean, I don't know what the
You
head
probably
costs.
looking at
clear some pines? Because ain't nobody wanting to cut pines now. We need to do some things.
if we're gonna do it, might as well get a D8. I mean, that's the biggest dozer Mississippi ground to hold right now, unless you're on a mine or something. So
For a deer camp?
yeah, I mean, you said let's go big.
No, I mean, that we could use.
You would for clearing like that, you'd at least a D6.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a couple old D5s that have similar blades, but it's just you're talking about small frame dozer there, and a D6 will do it. They do make blades for it. I think the ones they have, instead of being a V, a lot of those are just a one-sided blade, so it starts as far left and goes all the way across to the right instead of a V blade. But I mean, you're looking at you probably get
I'm
a
looking
used
at it.
one.
I'm trying to find a price.
You can spend
on one.
300,000 plus.
Oh, yeah, that's a little more than I was.
You could get a used one,
I
like
thought
an
it was
older
something
one.
like 100.
You probably get one, but you got to have cabin air. I mean, we ain't want to fight wasps. Wanting the limbs get on you or nothing.
Yeah.
Nobody will run it if it ain't got cabin air.
Is that what it is? Is Miles has got air now that on his?
I think the dozer. He
The old one don't know.
no, I think the one he come to when he pushed them trees up after the tornado. I don't think it was cabin air.
No, it wasn't.
You just got to watch when you start pushing trees, man. You get limbs pop back on you. You better have a cage around you.
Yeah.
Because that's a bad way to go to get hit with an oak tree like
Yeah,
that.
one of my good friends, his dad got hit, and it almost killed him.
But no, we done a little bush hogging. I bush hogged around all the trees we planted.
It
Checked
looked
on
good.
Yeah, checked on all of them. Made sure we could see them, and they stood out.
Yeah.
I took a few pictures, man. A lot of them got buds coming on them. They're blooming, so that's a good sign right now. I did find a couple that were laid over and got to looking, and field mice had done ate them off at the ground, and they just
Oh.
chewed all the way through the little stem of it, and I cleaned them up, stuck them back in the hole. I don't know if they'll make it or not, but
Probably not now. Yeah.
I did run. It's some field mice out there. I mean, if we got anything else, we got a habitat for mice.
I don't
For
know if
sure.
that's good or not.
That's good. It keep predators off the other game. And
Yeah.
field mice probably a lot easier to catch. And
Oh, we need to carry the infrared down there at night. Just
And it would look like
red
ants everywhere.
dots everywhere.
Be like ants. Because I mean, I was bush hogging. I'd get off and like walk where the trees were to make sure I wasn't on top of any, and they were just there was hundreds of them look like running. You start bush hogging, you push them out.
Yeah, and I got over there and on the new ground run that lane shark. That thing is pretty mean. It takes a minute to get kind of used to it, but it's pretty tough.
Explain what that is to folks listening.
So it's basically a bush hog that goes on front of your tractor. Take the bucket off. This goes on place of it. It'll cut in front of you or tilt up to the side, and you just raise it up just like your bucket, and just go down there and cut the limbs off. You are kind of limited on what you can do just because of hydraulic flow, but I mean it's pretty impressive.
It's not a very large hydraulic motor running it, but I guess that keeps from really breaking junk. But it's got a pretty, I would say, that rotor disc probably weighs 200 pounds.
I bet it weighs more than that. That thing's heavy.
Heavy.
What's the width on the deck?
48 maybe.
48.
It's not real big.
Yeah.
But you just get that much momentum going with that mass of weight, and when it hits a limb, it busts it off.
And that's what it's for. It cleared lanes. I mean, it's like if you got trails you ride, you want to, keep things from sticking out. You got to take tractors down through it. You can keep it from tearing your tractor up. You go down there with it and just maintain your paths and stuff, right?
Yeah, pretty much.
Make sure you don't. Yeah, if you got it on in the front of the tractor, just make sure that you're not in like grass and stuff. It's got to be able to discharge it out,
and it discharges it.
So
to
it's
the
not
front.
meant to run like a bush hog.
No,
it's made to be off the ground running.
Yeah, you got to keep it off the ground where it's getting that stuff out from under it.
Is it slinging it all over you?
No, believe it or not.
Really?
It really, when we pulled around, me and Miles pulled around in front of Jamie, I was like, crap. Like I knew he was coming that way. I was like, man, we got to get out of here. I was like, man, it's going to be limbs flying. And
most of it, like the limb's so big, it's just pretty much busting it off and it's falling to the ground.
Is it a slow go? Or
it's not super fast, but it's, like I say, it does take a minute to get used to running. It's a technique to it for sure. But
I think once you do it once and get the majority of it knocked back, like next year doing it, it'll go twice as fast. I mean, it'll be you're not having to deal with the big limbs, and you already got your marked edge as far as what you want to clear. It won't be nearly as bad, but it does a good job.
It's like a bush hog for trees.
Yeah,
it'll shortcut them.
What'd you work on, Mikey?
I went around the corner and took a nap while Jamie was working, but no.
He was the manual lane shark when I come through.
Oh, you was running pole saw?
Yeah, I was running the pole saw. So I went back up there towards the front end of the property where, I mean, that lane shark would have done it, but, there were some smaller limbs. Instead of sitting up there fighting with that thing, trying to do that, I just bobbed them off the pole saw and got them out of the road where the tractor ain't dragging them on them with a truck or nothing like that.
Which that lane up there was pretty open. It wasn't too bad. It didn't have, like you say, it didn't have any big limbs or anything like that. That's the only downfall is once you get the limb on the ground, you got to do something with it.
Yeah.
So I guess John and them said they run a bush hog behind it.
Yeah.
You
Pull
get
it behind it.
and then run over the limbs as long as it's not like a big limb.
So when you hitting that thing, like you're hitting it at the tree trunk or at the stalk of the tree, so you're bobbing it off. When it hits it, it's not cutting it clean, but it's cutting it off. So now you got a 10-foot limb laying out there in the middle of the road. You got to do something with it.
And you can't set it back down on top of it?
No, not the way it's angled.
No, you got it's in it's a bracket that holds it a pin. You just pull the pin out and swings it up on the
can't
side.
change the angle on the fly.
Not on the go. You can't.
You got to get out.
I'm sure they got some you can, but this one's all manual. But you can run it at a 90, a 45, flat. You can run it at whatever angle you want, but you got to get out manually do it.
I got you.
Yeah, you probably talking about a whole nother hydraulic system on that, added.
Yeah, I'm sure they got to run an auxiliary or something.
Did you have any trouble with the stability of it on the turnover?
I tell you what, you get it up in the air and on a little bit of slope, it gets light on the back.
I wonder if having that bush hog behind you on that would help, or would it?
Not your bush hog really, because it's a pull behind. Yeah, if we put the tiller on the back or something like that, put some extra weight, or even do water in the rear tires would help too.
Yeah,
I thought too maybe we might need to look at seeing if we can't change the width on that tractor just a bump. If we put it 6 inches out on each side, it's not going to affect nothing we're doing, but it will make it more stable. Be a little bit less ground pressure.
You
maybe
do that, or put a weight box on your 3-point hitch. You just put it on it.
Yeah,
that wouldn't be a bad idea. Something you take on and off pretty easy. The only thing, like adding weight to the tires, man, if you start bush hogging and tilling, man, it mires up. Like it tears your ground up pretty bad when you don't want it to.
Yeah.
But we had a pretty good Friday though. It wasn't got a good bit done, and I seen a couple does while I was bush hogging, but didn't see any. Well, we seen turkeys on the way over to new land, but I didn't see any while we were in there.
They were all over the place when I was leaving Sunday.
They knew you had a fishing pole.
That's what I know. That's what it was. Yeah, we weren't turkey hunting. I should have went turkey hunting that afternoon. But
Starting to warm up, weather's starting to get right.
they
Maybe
ought to be about wanting to talk.
hopefully some of this rain will start holding off.
I think it's supposed to rain, tomorrow and Wednesday?
I was surprised as much rain as we had last week that things weren't just a mud hole down there, but everything was pretty dry. I rode around everywhere y'all went.
And then that's something else. Me and Miles, we rode around because he's got a new ditch thrower that he's wanting to try out over there, and it runs off GPS satellite, so he can go in there and set the grade, and it don't matter where you're at. So if you start on the far, the big plantation field, if you start on the far end, you can say I want an X percentage grade from here to where I stop. It automatically does it. So it don't matter what the tractor does, and you can control how high you throw your little levee, where you throw the dirt. It's pretty sharp. So we rode around and looked at all it, and most of that's pretty. It won't be nothing to it. You know, he looked at the field at South Trump where it's holding water. We can do one lane right down the middle of it, and it should correct that whole field.
So what'd y'all find out about from seed rep?
Yeah, so we met seed guy Thursday.
Yeah,
It was Thursday afternoon. So we talked to him and give him, the blend that we were wanting to try to put down, different things we just got off the internet, and some of the seeds we didn't even know. I had never seen them. Had you?
No, like some of the spiny okra, and there was a collard of some forage collards.
Something like that.
This was stuff that he had never heard of, or that wasn't prevalent in our area in the South. He said they might grow it some places at the East or somewhere, but wasn't stuff you find in a mix and around here.
Not your standard blend.
Yeah.
No, because you got different areas of the country. They got different things that they may have or supply this high demand that they plant somewhere else or whatever. But down here in the South, it's not the same.
Yeah, the big thing with him was you want to get your mix of legumes and your forage crop, whatever you're going to have in there, and then think about some cover too. So we were going heavy with legumes that are going to fix nitrogen back in the ground for our fall crop, knowing we're going back in.
So explain what that is then.
It's basically it's a bean. So you think of your soybeans, your vetch, clover, cowpeas. What else?
Peanuts or legumes.
There was what else was in the blend? Did you bring? You didn't have to bring any of that info in here, did you?
I did.
That was in it, but all those were things that we were growing for nitrogen,
right?
And then we're also going to supplement back with like some milo, sorghum, millet. There was some buckwheat we were going to add to it. What was some of the other ones? You remember?
Yeah, he called. What did he call those? What did he call the buckwheat and some of the other things? He called them a
scavenge crop. Yeah. It's plants that pull up nutrients from deep in the soil. They scavenge them from the bottom, from ground that's not been broke, not been tilled or anything. They pull them up deep, put those nutrients back up top so your plants can use them. And that's a big thing that you need to have in your mix, because most of the time conventional farming, guys are just breaking the top few inches of the soil. You're not going way deep. So you're putting your chemicals back on it. You're putting fertilizer on it, and most people are pulling out whatever crop growed. So you got to replace those nutrients.
Didn't he say radish was one of them too?
I don't know if there was any radish in that summer. Was it?
No, not in the summer.
Yeah, but radish is a scavenger plant for for fall.
It draws all that back up into the bulb.
That goes further in. The big thing was you wanted to just have a mix. You want those legumes that's going to make nitrogen. They make a tonnage, a lot of good protein for the animals to eat. But then you have these other crops that are more kind of cover, like he said the milo, and if you have corn, or if you have some beans that are going to spread out, like the cowpeas, all that kind of shade stuff out. So you want a mixture of it. We had clover in our mix, and he didn't recommend doing any clover because he said it's going to burn up in the summer for that mix.
Yeah.
Now, I think we still want it just because we're looking at the protein it's going to put out for them in the summer. We know it's going to get up. I mean, we're not trying to keep that clover crop growing.
Yeah, and
now.
If it's, and I kind of looked at that too. If it's under a shaded area or something, the clover will, it'll be just like it is in the edge of your yard. Clover stay out there all
It loves the shade, yeah.
But if it's out in a wide open field or something, I think that's what he was thinking.
Yeah,
is this,
like burnt sun.
Bang for your buck, you're better with your beans and veg. Which he was saying. I mean, best thing we could. Soybeans was their thing. and he had this isn't like a crop soybean. This is a forward soybean. But the problem with soybeans in our area is deer density. Like they won't let it get up, and he kind of recommended fencing, but we're just not going to put the man hours into what it would take to fence off the areas that try to get beans up. So we're going with the blend, and so we're going to do some experimenting. They've got a vetch, it's a deer vetch that it grows a lot like soybeans, but it spreads out. So you need a pretty good area to plant it, but it is super browse tolerant. Like he says, deer love it, and they can't keep up with it. It's it's going to compete. It's going to take over the ground.
Oh, we're going to put it to the test then.
That's what we said. That's exactly what we said.
So we're going to do. That's what we're going to do. Is he wanted a designated field. It's like will y'all just let will y'all plant just one field in this, just so because he's going to come back down. He wants to see how this works out.
That's right.
Because we're doing something that nobody else. Well, I ain't gonna say nobody else has done it, but I guess for him,
not popular. Yeah.
No,
in our areas, it's something that people just don't do it right now. The practice isn't normal. It's mostly break the ground, spray the ground, break the ground, get it ready to plant, and then terminate that crop and do it again. We want to keep from crop termination.
Yeah,
we want to keep it going, and we want to use instead. What do you call it? Plant-based manure, right? Is that what do you call it?
Plant-based manure or organic?
Yeah, organic manure.
Organic manure.
Instead of being like animal manure or whatever. It's basically fertilizer. It's natural fertilizer is what we're doing. So we're creating our own by letting the crop grow. Instead of terminating it, we're going to roll it over or crimp it and let that be our thatch that gets a good, habitat for these seeds to come up through. They get the nutrients from it because those plants will still have plenty of moisture in them. You don't let them get dried out all the way. So it's like you don't take your grains till they're completely ready to harvest. You got to catch them in that stage where they still have some moisture in the plant, and that's what that's what provides your next crop.
And like we said last week, this is not an instant.
Oh no,
you're gonna see results this year.
That's what he was telling us. He's like, man, you guys, you can't expect to get like switch over. You can't totally go
straight to buffalo.
Yeah, straight to that system. Trying to do organic style farming, you've got to do it slowly and still use the fertilizer. He explained it by using the tools you have to the best. So it's great to say, oh, I want to be all organic and I want to do it this way without any kind of chemicals or harmful stuff to the environment. And it's another thing to want to be successful too. So you got to use a little bit of all of it.
For us, it's fine, but for a cash crop farmer, maybe not so much.
That's right.
'Cause he's not, like he was telling.
You can't have a bad year of that.
No, you're going. It doesn't matter if we get, like he said, 200 bushels to an acre of corn out of a crop. It doesn't matter to us. We're just planting it for the deer. So if we get half of that.
Yeah, if it yields half or whatever,
we still got a bunch of corn on the ground.
That's right.
Man, we do it. We go all organic. We're gonna have the big city bucks come on in.
The tight.
Have tight jeans on, everything.
Skinny jeans.
Skinny. But no, it made sense after you talk to somebody about it that deals with it every day. I mean, his business is selling seeds to people, so he sees all types. He sees these people that want a small farm. He sees the guys that got thousands of acres. He sees the ones that you're doing it for your living. That's how you're making your money. So you got to try to do the best of both worlds. But all of ours is straight recreational. We're not.
So, did he mention anything as far as running a system like this, how much it changes, like the actual genetics of that plant as far as protein production?
He didn't get into the protein production of it.
Because that's one of I may be completely wrong, but I was always under the impression is like what you're saying, you're keeping the moisture in that plant as you crimp it. But that animal's still going to feed on that. And once you crimp it and lay it over, that protein is going to increase. It's just like feeding a cattle, green hay.
Yeah.
The protein's way higher in green hay than it is something that's not.
That's dried out.
Right.
I can see that. The majority of it, it's for habitat for the soil. But that would make some sense to me if you're saying it's still getting grazed on.
Yeah,
as long as it's green,
they're going to eat it.
Yeah, they're still going to graze it after we crimp it over.
So what helps us with that is it gives one of the benefits of it. It gives your seeds time to germinate and time to get up above that thatch level to where they can tolerate graze. Like when you just have bare dirt and you've thrown seeds down and you get all of them to pop in a week or two, however long it takes them to germinate.
We've seen what happens.
They go and they nip it all off, and most of those plants can't recover from it.
That's what he said about the beans. About 2 of those getting nipped off. He said they're done.
Yeah, That's
You
it.
can get 'em.
They can't bounce back. There's no way.
So a lot of your, like you're saying, the lagoons, like beans aren't a good example, but say for instance like corn, standing corn, deer's not going to touch it on the plant. I wouldn't think. I mean,
Yeah, no, they love it. He said they'll knock it all down for you. I mean, they're gonna.
yeah, but it's going to actually produce before, like it's going to get up and produce before they really.
Oh, it
Dry
should.
corn.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I imagine
They're not going to be like soybeans where they never give them opportunity.
No,
you know,
and it'll make the stalk, make the ear and stuff like that. But they'll probably catch it when it first starts ripening,
soon as it dries
and then once
out.
it dries up, they'll probably get off of it.
Yeah.
And once it gets later in the season, they'll come back to it.
the benefits of it was what I'd like. And that's kind of what he said. He kind of lined it out for us. I mean, you get one of the main things you get, other than being food for your animals, is you get erosion control. Having these plants in the ground and keeping that ground covered and kind of regenerating that soil to where it acts as a sponge to hold water. You don't get the same runoff. You're not losing water on your field where you get a good hard rain on some ground that you've already worked and you seeded
just dirt there.
Yeah, and you've rolled it. It's just dirt. It just the water, it can't take up that much. It'll run off. Well, with this type of farming or agriculture, you get the water absorption, and that's a big thing for us. I mean, it's going to help with a lot of those ditches that we're having to make, and we're wanting the soil to be as
a sponge.
yeah, as much as it can.
Well, too, something you don't think about is like, you break that ground. Say, we've limed these. Some of these fields we've already limed, we've fertilized, we've worked it,
Yeah,
and you go break it this year and get a heavy rain. You lost all your topsoil when it washes it out.
That's right.
And you're back down to nothing again. All that lime, all that work you put in years before is gone.
and that was a big thing. He's like, we're starting with acidic soil. We're hill country. This ground isn't good farmland anyway. It's not like you can't expect it to be Delta farmland, and you're not going to turn it into that. But you can definitely improve it by some of the practices you do with it and not breaking it, and laying that organic matter down on top of it and letting it build up instead of scraping it every year. Turning it over. That was a big thing. I mean, and then he I mean, you're gonna like this. He was like, y'all need to plant corn.
Oh, I'm ready.
He's-
That's what I've been screaming the last 2 years.
Well, and it's not where you'd think either. It's in the places that's holding a lot of water. He's like, corn loves it there. These areas like this that stay kind of wet, got a lot of moisture in them. He said corn will thrive there. This other mix that we're trying to plant can't grow in it, but corn will grow in that. And so that's what we've added that to our plan. That was not part of what we were going to do.
That's it. I mean, I'm not saying I've always wanted to plant corn. Just like you say, it's cover. And to me, we always liked them yellow acorns, and now we legally have yellow
Yeah,
acorns.
yeah. I mean, and I think a big thing of corn is you got to have a few rows of it ain't going to help you.
No.
You got to have a stand of it. So you got to have some areas where you can plant it. And we've got one field that's going to be about 3 acres. And then we've got another. It's probably close to 3 by the time we get it all pieced together. But we're going to use some of the corn and some of the others too as kind of like barrier to get in and out of stands, because we're not going to knock it all down. We might knock some of it down,
Well,
right?
you ain't gonna have to knock it
deer or
down.
something like
Between
that.
the coons and the deer,
Well,
you
that's
have
what
to knock it
yeah,
down.
that's what he told us too. He said you ain't going to have to worry about putting it on the ground. But I'm hoping it'll grow. And then, like Mikey mentioned earlier, we're not going to be upset if it all don't make corn. The whole thing is, if we get 50% of it to grow, we've done good.
That's still a lot,
And we're not going to fertilize it. We're not going to spray it the same way a farmer would that has to get 95, 98% of his yield or whatever.
He said
We're going to do half.
nothing to his.
Yeah, he said he just treats it like puts corn in the ground, lets it go, and it makes what it makes.
So what do you say about where we got the winter wheat and stuff like that coming up right now? Like, are we going to just know, are we going to drill into that, or are we going to have to till that?
No,
we're drilling into that one. Yeah.
So
we're
everything
rolling,
we got
drilling.
pretty much established. It's not
It's a
weeds,
roll. It's going to be a crimp.
crimped and go.
Yeah.
And then the new
Everything
ground,
else.
New
which we
ground
thought
had
we
that
were going to
We're
drill
gonna have to
straight in, we're not. That was the bad news. He's like, you're not going to drill straight in
So
just because of the contours of the ground. It's never been prepped. If it's been prepped, you could drill straight in. But the way he explained it is, think of how that cedar's going down through there. If you got dips and you got
it's not flat.
It's not flat. And so that thing's skipping, it's putting in here. It might be up over the ground there. You can't just keep soil to
So we
cedar
definitely-
contact. So we've got to go back and we got to terminate some fresh ground, and we got to till it and
Smooth it out.
smooth it out.
Well, would you want, and this is kind of brainstorming, and this is actually getting a plan together, do we want to go ahead and get the drainage figured out before we till?
We ain't got the
We
time.
got time. We got to, this
get
needs to be
flat
happening
first.
this week. As soon as it gets dry, we got to be going because it's going to be a 2-week thing. And depending on what we have to spray to terminate, some of it has to, and I didn't know this, depending on what chemical you're using, you may have 28 days before you can put a seed in the ground. And so all of ours has got to happen, I would say, before mid-May
Yep.
is where we want everything in the ground. So we've got 4 or 5 weeks now.
Miles, if you're listening, we need that ditcher real quick.
But I mean, all that over there, I mean, they could be ditched later. I mean, it's not.
Yeah, I mean, we can still do the ditch in the South Trump field if he
Yeah.
get it over and
That's
knock
the
that
main.
one out.
That's the main area we're worried about drainage
yeah,
anyway.
the new ground.
Yeah,
ain't got no
Crossroads
time.
plot. We're gonna have to break it up. We ain't got to that part of our plan yet, but it'll be broke up, and we'll make the best we can with it. Some of them are so wet you couldn't even get in there right now.
No, that one is probably gonna be the last field we plant.
Yeah,
It was pretty rotten Friday down there.
it was Sunday when I left.
But I mean, when we
Staying
looked
in
at all
water
the
rotten.
yeah, when we looked at all the drainage though, everything's doing what it's supposed to do. It's just we've had so much rain.
Yeah.
You know, it don't matter if you was to put concrete culverts and stuff in, you still got to be able
Water
to
to
manage
deal
the
with.
water.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
it's all going where it's supposed to, and what ground we have soaking it up, and we'll just make do with it.
Another thing we talked to him about was making these edges, transitional edges, and they had a product. What was it? Growing the wall,
Growing the wall.
which is basically, you think of it as a not growing deer heads to put on a wall. You think of it as a wall of vegetation is what we're growing. So we're using that in places for egress to stands. Like you need cover getting in places, or if you want, if you got a neighbor that you don't want to, you want them to see what you're doing, or you got a property that's on a road, this is the type of stuff you plant because it had, what did it have? A lot of that Sudan grass and
He had Sudan grass,
Egyptian wheat,
and
Stuff that comes up quick.
yeah, and it's all stuff that grows 10, 12 foot tall, a lot of it. I mean,
Yeah.
it's
there was a couple of things I can't.
there's several things in it, but it's really great habitat for birds. They use it for a lot of that because your turkeys love it. All your, quail, all kinds of birds use that kind of grass. But it also, when you come out, like say in transition areas, so if you got a stand of woods and it's opening up into a food plot and you got an edge, just think, 12 to 15 foot wide of that grass, those deer had to come out in it. And a lot of times you could see them in it in deer season. Now, summertime, it's probably so thick and tall that you probably wouldn't see them, but you can see them, and those bucks like to use those to check field.
They feel comfortable.
They feel comfortable. It makes them, want to come on out in the field because they could stay in that edge of stuff, and it's just great. It's just great habitat. So that was one thing we're thinking about adding in places where especially around stands and stuff.
Mm-hmm. Yep. So this is the time now. If you're getting ready to plant something, you need to be
You
figuring
didn't,
it
you've
out.
been thinking about that because if you don't get it in before, where we are in North Mississippi, it needs to be happening. I mean, really, you don't want to put seeds in the ground before Easter. Ain't that the general rule?
Yeah.
I mean, just because we got some
Frost
cold weather
and
coming. I looked. It's going to be down to like 33 this week.
You were
If
further
you-
south, you probably could,
Yeah,
around
okay,
that,
yeah.
but up here in North Mississippi, it's,
And above here,
about
that's
Easter
what it
is
would.
where you don't want to try to plant.
And that's
before
because of frost date.
Yeah.
That's what we're thinking. Frost date. As long as you have it in the ground after your frost date, you should be okay. But you really got a window there. Like, you might could make it to Memorial Day, but you got to think when we quit getting rain, you're not going to get those plants out of the ground.
That's the other thing that rain, those spring rains are the ones that kind of help those young plants thrive at that time. So if you plant them in a drought and they come up and get 3 or 4 inches high and they hit a drought, the thing will burn up.
Yeah. But that was our seed talk. We could
Yeah,
do
that was
a
a
whole
good
show on
recap.
seed talk.
It's all interesting stuff. I done learned a lot of stuff.
I don't know anything.
stuff.
I say I don't know nothing about farming. We've done food plots, and that's as much farming as I've ever done. But to me, it's very interesting, and to find out about how these plants grow, what it takes to do it, and all that. If you're, average person may not be into it, but I like it.
We really need to. I know we've kind of started a lot of this, and we've worked a lot of this field, but we really need to, I say, let's document it. Let's get pictures of the plots right now, and then 2 years from now, let's see the difference.
Yeah.
And that's the only way we're gonna be able to prove, hey, this worked or this didn't.
Yeah, that's right.
I ain't gonna remember what it looks like.
Mikey's been taking pictures. Right now, they look good.
Yeah, they look good now.
The clover looks good.
I
The
wish
wheat
it looked
looks
like this
good.
come hunting season, man. If we had some green fields like they are right now, man, it would be
Be
on.
set.
It would be on.
All right.
The deer love it. I don't know how many deer I saw this weekend.
Going total opposite now.
Yeah. I don't scratch my top it out. We're just going to keep talking about seeds.
Yeah, what are we talking about now, Mark?
So I got thinking, it's right now we're not hunting. I mean, we got some turkey season going on, but it's becoming the time of year to where it's a lot of work. And one of the things that really made me go to this topic is how do you keep it fun for the kids during summertime? What do we keep going to kind of keep your interest in it, stuff like that. And fishing was the first thing that come up. And then I got to thinking about that. I fished way before I ever hunted. I remember when I was a kid, before I got into hunting, it was fishing. And I loved it. When I was a young kid, teenager growing up, high school, that's all we done was fish. And kind of related back, a lot of hunters, that's where they start out. And that's an easy transition to me to get a kid involved in outdoors, let them, learn the outdoor experience and kind of learn to respect the outdoors. And it all kind of correlates to me to deer hunting. So kind of what I picked this topic on today. It's a lot to cover and kind of just something different,
Thing about fishing, you don't have to have 50 acres, 100 acres, or club membership to fish. You can go, man, there's plenty like Moorland, or the local lakes. I mean, there's tons of places.
Old cow pond. Yeah,
Old
just
cow
much
pond.
fun fishing that old cow pond.
Shoot, some of the best fish I've ever caught
That's
in
right.
old cow ponds.
Yeah.
I mean, when I was a kid, and I mean, Jamie as well, and when I was a kid, Mikey kind of showed up in the picture, sadly, but
Kinda.
But when growing up, right across the road from his house was, I don't know how many.
I know it's 4 or 5.
Yeah,
over
it's
there.
a bunch of cow ponds over there, and we could fish it. And one of my first, when I was a kid, remember one of the ones that stand out was we went to one right across the street. It wasn't 100 yards from our front door, and fished. Of course, it was growed up sage grass, and we caught fish. And I remember fishing with Daddy, and caught a bunch of fish at the time. But what made that story so memorable was that my first time I ever got chiggers. And I got ate up with them.
Yeah.
And it was a great fishing experience until the next day.
You got a cure for them? That's what folks
Shoot, I was painted with fingernail polish. I had red and blue and purple. I didn't care. Anything to keep from itching.
They didn't put you in a bathtub of bleach?
I think we did do that. Heck.
I'd rather have chiggers.
Really?
I don't know.
Bathtub of bleach?
Man,
Just get them off of me.
Have you done it? Oh, man. They get in the worst places, too. That's a bad thing about chicken.
use that green Dorbean Jr. for athlete's foot or whatever.
Does that
Junior.
work?
Yeah,
It work?
Yeah.
Will, sure will.
What was the old pink paste?
Calamine lotion?
Yep.
No.
Yep.
It come in the bottle and you put it on. It was white and
Yeah.
it turned bright pink when it
Calamine
dried.
lotion.
Yep.
That don't work, though.
No.
It'll dry up poison ivy
Yeah,
somewhat.
yeah. No, I tell you what, I'd rather have chiggers and poison ivy. I had that stuff from bow season one year, from like October all the way to Christmas.
I'm not allergic.
It got me all up and down my arms, went down my chest, my side. It just kept spreading.
We know where all you were scratching anyway. don't you?
Yeah, you couldn't help it, man. That was.
You got it bad one year. We was putting deer stands up, didn't you? You got it on your face.
Yeah, I got it. Yeah, it got on my fingers. And I got it from my face. I didn't know it was on my fingers to scratch my face, and it got on my face. And
Then
it
you
was in
sweat.
the summer.
Yeah,
By the time it stopped, it was in my tennis shoes. I mean, it had went in every crevice, crack of my entire body was covered up.
I've heard of people burning it, and then the fumes that creating
Yep.
the gas and getting it off and breathing it in and getting in your lungs.
Bad sick.
Yeah.
I mean, I got to get I can be in it, and I got to have a lot around me, and I might get a little bee spot. But other than that, I don't
Really. Oh,
ever get poison ivy
definitely
or ivy.
to it.
I hate it.
Yeah.
So
I won't hunt a stand if it's got a vine.
I keep
Even when it's
chiggers off.
dormant.
I get those deed
Going
out.
to the
I'm about
next one over.
Don't
yeah.
bother me.
That repel.
I've been lucky, I
Deep
guess.
Woods repel with the 39% deep or whatever it is. I put that on. I go
It
out,
kills the
spray
poison
boots. No, it don't work on poison ivy. It works on chiggers though. Chiggers and ticks, you ain't got to worry about. You got that stuff on. Now, some people are highly allergic to the bug spray too.
That's me. I
Oh, yeah.
cannot wear any.
Jamie will turn red as that shirt.
I've tried everything from off to Avon or what any kind
Skin
of
so soft.
skin so soft,
that
whatever
does
kind of
not work.
bug spray, and it don't work.
No, deep. That's what works.
It blisters me.
It probably takes years off my life using it, but I go through about a case of it every year.
Yeah, all your side by side got 3 or 4 cans.
Yeah,
on
you
there.
Both
tell.
doors.
I don't play. Mosquitoes love me too.
So what was your first fishing experience that you remember?
Man, my papa took us, me and my brother, fishing with cane poles by the time I was old enough to walk. I mean, he had some, friends. He'd find us a creek or something just to go out and do something besides sitting around the house. But I didn't get turned loose fishing until I grew up on like a neighborhood pond up in South Haven, and we had a nice little lake there. It's probably about, 10, 12 acres, and I knew every square inch of that bank. My dad wouldn't let us get in boats. but we could go anywhere as long as we could walk it on the lake. And as soon as if we got home from school, we was grabbing fishing poles and going to the lake. We'd night fish out there. We got run off a bunch of times. There's on lake patrol days. So we wasn't even members of the lake. It was one of those you're supposed to be a member too. As long as we didn't get caught, my dad he didn't care.
Some of the best fishing is the ones you got to be a member at too.
Oh yeah, we ended up we'd find a buddy that they had a pass, and we'd make a copy of it or something. The dude ran us for several years till he gave up. I mean, it was bad. You can see him coming across the lake, so you go hide a little bit, let him make his little rounds or whatever, and we go back and fishing. But I mean, we caught, man, I don't know how many fish we caught out of that lake. It was some good fishing.
That's how it was. That's what I enjoy. I mean, heck, there's been plenty of times matter of fact, Mikey's helped me with some of it, be getting some buttons to take fishing, because you got to have a button to fish some of them Medora lakes.
Same way. Do they run you? Somebody come run you off?
Yeah, they run.
You don't live here. I got a button.
I tell you what, one of the funniest memories I have, we had a buddy named Little Larry, and I'm sure everybody's got a friend about like Little Larry. He wouldn't quite, he's always into something. Little Larry's the one that probably gets you in trouble. Well, he was fishing. We were fishing one day down there, and I couldn't have been, 11 or 12 years old. And Little Larry was a year or two younger. He's Waylon's age. And they got to where he walked behind you. He's fishing. And I kept telling him, I was like, man, don't walk behind me when I'm casting, man, because he didn't have a pole. He didn't want to fish. He just wanted to terrorize. And so one day I think it was old Roadrunner. You remember those Roadrunners? Just like a little plastic jig with the little spinner on the head of it. Well, I'd rear it back. Little Larry come behind me, and I caught him right in his tit. I'm talking bare, and I'm talking about I hooked on it, and like, damn, I must have got caught up. And I was hooking on it, and he went to holler, and I had him. So I got after him, and I was like, Little Larry, stop.
Quit running.
That joker took off to the house, man. He's going down there, and I was like, all right, I got him. I was sitting reeling back in. Oh, man, but this went on for probably 30 minutes trying to corral him. I hooked him.
Better than any bass.
Bleeding everywhere.
He put up, Little Larry's
Finally, we got him and pinned him down. I said, I can't let him go back to his parents. They're going to think, we done this out of meanness or something. But we got that hook, and I just ended up working. You couldn't even get it back out. I didn't know how to take a hook out of somebody, do it the right way. I probably should have clipped it and pulled it back out. Yeah. No, we pulled out a chunk. I bet he still got a scar to this day.
He ain't got a nipple on that side.
It was way before it was cool to pierce your nipple. Little Larry was hooked up with a Roadrunner. I remember that to this day, and that's probably been, 30-something years ago.
That's all we did. My best friend in high school, Darren, I mean, we wore a two-man boat out, loading it and unloading that truck fishing. We fished ponds, lakes, everywhere. I mean, we had a good time.
I never got to fish a whole lot from a boat.
Man, I thought you could catch more fish out of a boat. Once I could
get
in a boat.
I thought you could. Oh. Yeah.
Yeah, I think, man, ain't nothing swimming toward the bank. Everything's supposed to swim away from the bank.
Yeah. And I always thought that, man, if I had a boat, I could get out in the middle where all them fish are. Them fish laying up on that bank. The advantage of being that boat, though, is you can ease up on them and fish from them back to you. But
well, we always fished treetops.
I learned to do that old rainbow. I ease up on the bank. I'm going to start over at 3 o'clock and fish it all the way to 9 o'clock and see where they're at.
We used to always fish treetops, and it was easier to fish a treetop because all the limbs are facing you, so you wouldn't get hung up as much. But yeah, I love fishing out a little John boat in a pond, though.
You put many miles in 2 man.
Done went through a bunch of trolling batteries.
Really?
I'm just glad somebody else at this table's got a first fishing story like mine.
What was yours?
Man, Daddy, so anybody that knows me, my stepdad pretty much raised us. But anyways, we Daddy took us fishing, one of the first ones, and we ain't got a long enough show for me to tell all these stories. But anyways, Daddy took us night fishing. We're going to go night fishing. So we slid off this Delta bluff. And if you ever went down the side of the bluff at the Delta, I mean, it's like a mountain when you drop off the Delta. So we slid down there in the middle of the night, pull up these square-looking ponds. I'm like, heck yeah, what is this? He's like, all right, boys, go to fishing. He said, y'all watch that light way out there. If it moves, you tell me. It's like, yes, sir. We went to catching catfish.
It's biting. I
bet
they really biting.
That's the best fishing hole we ever been in.
They all come out 12 to 14 inches.
Yeah.
Same size.
It's like, boys, get your stuff. Here he comes. So we took off running. Said, what are we doing? He was like, them's catfish ponds. We ain't supposed to be down
there. Y'all put them on stringer and
They was in a fingerling pond.
Run back in the thicket and hide and let him go by. And he'd go back to the other side, and we'd jump back out and go fish.
Channel cat. Yeah, they probably bit a hook.
$4 a pound at the Walmart.
Yeah.
And
free for us.
I was like, I guess I was probably middle school or so. Guy down the road built a pretty nice cabin and put a catfish pond in right there at the cabin. Well, he'd feed them every day at 7 o'clock. You know, like clockwork, he'd go out there and feed them. And I mean, it would be 3, 4, 5 pound catfish rolling in the water. Well, he told me, man, if you ever want to come down here fishing, just come on. I said, all right. So me and Hunter, we struck out. We went down there. Of course, he had the food locked up. Well, I knew he fed them, so we brought dog food with us. We'd feed them, get them rolling in the water, and we caught like 40 that day. He come up and we had them all. He said, man, what are y'all doing? I said, you told us we could go fishing. We didn't get invited back. No more.
Yeah, it's supposed to be a catch and release program.
Yeah.
We did that one time. It was I was a kid. This is not too long after the Little Larry story, I'm sure. But Mud Island, y'all know where Mud Island is in Memphis. They used to have this big thing at the end of it where like the river display dumped out, and they turned it into a big swimming pool at once. But before that, it was like this paddle boat area, and they had a fishing contest over there on it. They it was a catfish cooking contest. It was about like Memphis in May. It was in the summer. It was good and hot. But what they did for the fishing rodeo is they bought all these different size channel cats and filled that thing up with them. And they had like, you know, I think it went on for like 2 or 3 hours. The kids could fish while the adults were, you know, getting ready to do their contest and all that stuff. So my buddy we went with, his Little Larry's dad, him and another guy was on a team. And so we got our little cane poles or whatever. When they got time to take the poles, we didn't catch nothing during the tournament. Like we sat out there for 3 or 4 hours, and you could use whatever bait you wanted. We didn't know. It was just a cane pole and a hook and a little cork. And so the dads ended up saying, y'all hide them poles. And I was like, what are y'all talking about? And they were going to stay out there all night because the contest wasn't until the next day for the turning in your catfish cook. And so we hid them poles, and we went back up there at night, and they took some of them fillets they was cooking and cut them up. And, man, we caught 3 coolers full of cat. I'm talking, we caught catfish all night. It was the best time I ever had on cane poles, catching catfish that's, 3 or 4 pounds. And we fished that whole little area down there. Man, we took them. So the next day, they didn't want them. They'd done been out there drinking beer for 2 days, cooking catfish, all that stuff. I said, all right, y'all take them fish home. I was like, man, what am I going to do with these? I was a kid. And so I called my papa, and he's like, yeah, bring them over here. We'll clean them. And he put, I remember to this day, he had old bell, like a dinner bell on a cedar post. He drove some nails in it. And we go to sticking them catfish's heads on them nails and skinning them. And, man, I bet we skinned fish for 2 or 3 hours. We had 2 freezers full of fish after that.
Too, like Daddy and them used to, I guess, commercial fish when we was kids, and that was one thing. Get to ride with them and check nets, stuff like that.
I never got to do that.
It's all fun and games till it rains heavy, and the water goes up. All your fish in your net dead, and you got to get them out.
Your net will be floating.
Oh, really? It's a big old hoop nets, I guess.
Yeah. You talking about I don't. It smells pretty darn bad, but worse than that is a turtle. You get a turtle on them nets, that is the most god-awful smell you'll ever smell in your life.
Have you ever done the boxes?
Yeah.
I did the boxes out in the river.
We didn't really do it right. We would just drive the boat up to the box and leaned over and yanked the box up and knocked the fish out.
Oh, you're supposed to
you didn't know you're supposed to
check the box, right? Get down in there and check
it. After the game warden visited us.
Did you get a ticket?
Yeah.
Oh, dang. What'd that cost?
I don't know. It was several $100s. I don't remember now. But so then we've realized we'd get out of the boat and swim up to the box, just run your hand in it like he's, grappling.
Yeah. I couldn't do that. Y'all ever done that, grappling? Mm-mm. Man, that takes a special person. You got to be half full.
I did it last year for the first time. We didn't get no fish. Randy had some boxes out, and we went and done it. It was late in the season. They done left the nest or whatever, but you could tell they were in there, and when I stuck my arm up in there, I was like, man, I ain't never done this. I don't know what to expect.
Yeah.
You don't know what's in there.
Yeah, and
it's hard to keep your hand in it.
Yeah, I stuck my hand in there, and he's like, make sure you block it with your chest because you
don't want to get out. Yeah.
You got to hold your breath, go down.
Right.
So I grabbed the front of the box, and when I grabbed the front of the box, I run my hand in there, and, you kind of put your chest against it, and because it's flat on the bottom. And I was like, man, I don't know what's fixing to grab me. Thank God nothing did. But
yeah. I drowned myself trying to swim down there, block the box up.
Well, you ain't never.
Something's got to get you, and then you got to fight it to get it out. Man.
The boxes we had were like a floating box. So you had a life jacket on. You'd jump out of the boat and swim up to the box. So the top of the box was level with the top of the water. So
they'd still get in that?
Yeah.
I always thought they laid on the bottom.
These didn't. No, we had them up at like up in brush tops next to trees and stuff like that.
I've only done it. I've never done it in a box. I've caught some in old cypress stumps. Me and Hunter, we walk around the edge of the pond and stuff like that.
Snake. That's what I'm thinking the whole time.
That's something I never thought about a snake when I was a kid.
I still don't. I still don't pay.
And now, shoot, I watch every step I take.
I don't never think about a snake.
I ain't messing with snake.
That's why you gonna catch me out there wade fishing for them crappies like brother and them dudes.
They sure do.
They walk up on them snakes. They don't think nothing about it. long as I can see them,
As long as they
don't mess
get
with them.
close to
Yeah.
'em.
I got a snake story. There was a ditch behind my house, and we used to catch bullfrogs. Well, it was like a little ditch. There was never any fish in it. It wasn't deep enough, but it was full of bullfrogs. And we thought we was going to have us little bullfrog matches with neighborhood buddies, get to make the frog jump the farthest. So we took a piece of plywood and threw it down over that ditch. I mean, this is for real.
I'm trying to think the bullfrog
That's
jumping
for real.
contest.
Oh, yeah, no.
Buckwheat
Y'all never,
alfalfa.
y'all never had bullfrog jumping contest?
We didn't live in the city.
Oh, well, we had ice cream buckets. We poked holes in them. We'd have these big bullfrogs in there. That's a whole nother story.
Yeah.
One got loose from my mama's house.
Did
ended
y'all
my
keep the
bullfrog.
reigning champion, or did you turn him loose?
No,
or you
I
try
mean,
to keep him alive to
you
the
know,
next one?
We normally traded them. Like we'd trade them.
Oh, y'all did.
Yeah,
I'll
we'd
trade
swap
you George
bullfrogs.
for Tom over
For
there.
real. We had a whole thing going. But anyway, I went out there to check my bullfrog trap. He was just so bored laying on the ditch. I got down on my hands and knees, raised that joker up. And there's a big old cottonmouth sitting right there looking at me in the face. And he didn't, I mean, you know how they
His
do.
mouth was open though.
He opened that mouth, and I slammed that lid back down. And I said, man, that broke me from getting down on my hands and knees looking up under something. And that's why I don't think I could do stick my arm up in a hole.
I'd rather go grappling though than fish with yo-yos. I can't. A yo-yo scares the crap out of me. It's like a mousetrap with a hook, and I ain't about that.
Man, we got out in St. Francis River over in Arkansas one time doing that. I was with my dad and uncle, and of course, they were having a good time drinking beers. We done bought a bunch of minnows. We was going to set our yo-yos, and we put them in the cooler. They had them in the cooler with the beers, and all them daggum minnows froze. So they was like, oh, man, we ain't got no bait, Luckily, they thawed out by the time we rode out there, but you got to do the yo-yos at night. So we get all across the way, across the river. I don't even know if we were supposed to be where we put in on somebody's field. And then set some yo-yos, and I go to check them, and my uncle pulls a rope, but they can handle snaps. So we're across this river, two kids, me and Waylon in life jackets, my dad and my uncle. We don't even really get to check our yo-yos. We have to paddle back across the daggum river, that was the worst fishing trip I've ever been on. We didn't catch a single fish.
Don't get ahead of me now. We got stories at the end.
I'm sorry.
We got
got
good
me
stories.
talking. I got some fishing stories now. That's one thing.
There's one I'm trying to get. I'm gonna lead up to in a little while.
We're gonna get
We
a
might
call
go
from
through the
Gary.
rest
Yeah,
of the
this
summer
might have
with
to
these
be.
topics.
This might have to be another one. Yeah, we're gonna be out of time.
Continue.
today.
No, but one reason, to me, hunting and fishing has a lot of similarities, very much so. And we talk a lot about managing land and stuff, and managing a pond or lake. If it's yours or one you can, it's kind of the same thing. You create a good environment for the fish, you're going to end up with better fish. And
Definitely.
that was one of the things. People don't think about a pond being overstocked like we just spoke about. It limits the size, and it's a lot to it that, I never thought about when I was a kid. We just fished to be fishing, know. So I guess like creating a good environment for the deer and stuff like that, it's all hand in hand with the fish,
Yeah, there's ways. You can manage your ponds. I've got books on them in the, that you can actually get them from the extension office down here. It tells you how to manage your ponds, what you need to do, But a lot of ponds, like the ones on the property out there, if you're really gonna manage those, you can take it to whatever extreme you want to. You can go and they recommend you cut the levee and drain the pond if you really want to manage that pond.
To start back over.
Yeah, because there's things in the mud like eggs and different kind of little critters and stuff like that that's down there you don't want in your pond, and they want you to take it back to nothing and then start over and restock it. But you can still manage it
I like the approach we've been using is good. Jamie started cutting around at one, make it a safe place, and then we had all that grass come up in it. We took care of that. The pond. That's
It's better now than it has been.
It looked
It's
really
a little
good.
pond.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can put chemicals in your pond, and it'll kill every fish, or it'll knock the oxygen out of it. It'll float all the fish to the top of the water. But
Or do you restock it after that, or
that's what they say don't do, because you still got those
eggs and
different
stuff.
things.
Yeah.
Like that.
Everything that you can't account for.
So now you spend a lot of money putting those fish in there, and you got some kind of a invasive species still in the pond that you didn't take care of. So you're back to where you was at.
So I guess when you break them, you let that dry out, or what's the
Let it
advantage of
dry
that?
out. They give you a time limit, 3 months or something like that, for where everything dries up and it kills anything that was aquatic inside of that pond.
Then you start back with new fish.
Start
put
back
in?
with new fish, refill it.
But you really need like a certain size pond to do that. It can't.
Oh, yeah.
One of
You
the
want like an acre at least or something.
Yeah.
Yeah, you don't want one like that one we got in the woods over there. You
Yeah,
don't do no
yeah.
crap like that. That's a lot of money for a little bitty pond. But
Yeah.
a couple acre, 2 acres, 3 acres, something like that.
one of the guys I used to work with, he put a pond in his house, and that's what he had a biologist come in and basically tell him what level, depths, and everywhere. So like his pond's like stair step. Like he's got one section that's 3 foot deep, quarter of an acre. Another section 6 foot deep, quarter of an acre. Another section that's 10 foot deep, and none of it's really that deep. I mean, I think 10 foot's probably his deepest spot, but he's got it set up to where that he knows the fish are going to be at this level at this time of year when it's
Depending
this
on water
temperature.
temperature.
Yep.
Yeah.
And he can do it. He can go out there and tell you the temperature of water. So you need to fish that corner, you know. And Willie wears that lake out. He's fished it pretty regular.
What do you think you can overfish one like that? Like ours, that little. It's it's a little over an acre.
I don't think we'd ever overfish it, but
Yeah.
I mean, I guess if you fished it just every day and kept everything you caught, you eventually gonna get it, you know.
Yeah, I've overfished a pond before. It wasn't mine, but the guy told us we could pitch all the catfish we wanted, and we did. And we come back a few weeks later, and he was like, "Man,
Well,
I don't think there's any left in there."
Did it bounce back after it never did?
No,
Unless you restock it.
she restocked it.
And two, I mean, a lot of like different fish, just like we're trying to create, you know, habitats. You know, there's fish you can put in a pond to make it better. You know, everybody don't want grass carp in there, but you kind of need some type of sucker fish or something to keep that pond clean. You know, keep the oxygen levels right, and
You just need to make sure they're the type that
Not
don't
invasive.
yeah,
evasive. Yeah, they do not. There's one that's what do you call it? Where they don't breed good night. They don't.
Sterile.
you don't want
Yeah,
the
they're
Asian
pretty
one
much
in there.
sterile.
Yeah.
They won't populate. So you put those in there, keep some.
That's
of
for your grass and from some of the other stuff that's in there. It keeps it clean.
Yeah, you need scavengers in a pond.
We still need to do our fishing tournament.
I don't know if I need minnows in there. Shell's letting them go.
No,
No, minnows is not a good thing to turn loose in the pond.
some places won't even let you fish with minnows in a
Yeah,
lake
I've
or pond
seen that because they-
people dump them out and then there's so many of them in there.
Yeah.
Where we're going in July in Colorado, the section of river that we're staying on, that's like the biggest thing. No live bait, barbless hooks, and it was something to do with your fishing line. It can't be monofilament; it's something else. But they
It's
had
like a natural. They're trying to preserve the natural
exactly.
state of the stream.
And I think it's a pretty big trout fishing area and stuff like that.
I mean, pretty much that camp we're staying at is probably 60 cabins, and that's all it is, pretty much.
It's a fish
fishing.
camp.
Yeah.
Luckily, we got a cabin on the river, so
Yeah.
we're gonna do some fishing.
Do a little trout fishing. I like some. We got some good trout fishing.
Oh, you
stories,
talking about
too.
where we're?
No, we're going.
No, where we're going to Colorado.
in July.
Oh, I thought you was talking about. All right.
I don't know what kind of fishing we got over there.
Say, man, I ain't fixed to have to reline all my poles now.
We're in Arkansas.
Yeah, wherever we're going for, I guess, was that Father's Day weekend?
Yeah.
I think.
Oh, y'all got a big trip planned?
Big something. I don't know what it's going to be.
Yeah, kayaking trip.
Ooh, that's gonna be a good one. We put in and go camp on the river and all
You want to
that.
go get in the kayak with
Oh.
us?
No,
We're not camp. We're cabining.
Oh, where
Glamping.
y'all putting in at?
I don't remember.
Is it on the White?
I
What
ain't
river
got
is
any
it?
of that. It's
Buffalo.
Buffalo and
Buffalo?
is it maybe where the Buffalo and they two rivers meet right there.
The Buffalo meets the White up there. I forget what area.
So that's
it's called up there.
where it's at.
That's a good. I've fished that little stretch. Just Wade fished up there before. It's a good little stretch.
I'm not a trout fisher.
Mm-mm.
It's fun.
Me and Malcolm.
I don't know about from a. I'm gonna stay out there till I catch them. Now I'd rather have one of them river boats with the little motor on it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Was it a little 15 horse motor thing on them?
Is it
Yeah.
15,
We got all we
20?
could-
something like it.
That was a good trip. You know, that's what I was fitting to be my next thing. Is what's
Yeah.
your favorite thing to fish? But no, that trip there was fun. River was a little strong, but everybody but me and Jay ended up catching right at a limit. We didn't fish it quite as hard as y'all did.
Me and Mikey was determined. We wasn't gonna get beat.
Me and Brian done a
much
bunch of boat riding.
Yeah, they were bird watching, seen it looking.
That's a beautiful river there. If you never
Oh,
fished
it
on the
is.
White River,
That's the
Beautiful.
fastest I've seen it move. It was
Yeah.
rolling that
there's a
day.
lot of water. What's your favorite type of fish to catch? I guess
As far as fishing experience, man, I like going smallmouth fishing.
I've caught a couple smallmouth, but I had never fished for them. Like
It's always been fun. I mean, fishing in a canoe most of the time, and usually you're in a pretty, Arkansas is where we've been. It's scenic. You got a good current. Had some bad experiences. I did get hooked in the boys, the manhood.
oh,
Brother-in-law
man,
did hook
dang.
me in the gonads. Not Mike.
Never good. Oh, not that brother-in-law.
No, Thomas, my brother-in-law. We were fishing and
Yeah.
we got turned sideways. it was a limb across the river, and it was one of them deals where you got down the river and you could split. It was like a Y goes around the island. You could go one way or the other. Well, we went the wrong way, and there was a limb all the way across. And when it did, the boat turned sideways. Well, like I said earlier, I don't like snakes, and the snake fell off the limb in the boat, and I was getting out. Well, when I stepped out of the boat, his jig or his hook was right there, and it got me. Luckily, it didn't get past the bar, but just a prick's enough. That's all you need.
I want to know that. That sounds terrible.
But no, smallmouth fishing probably one of my favorites.
Yeah.
Hadn't been much, but I've always enjoyed it. It's been a good time.
They fight hard, but we're ultralight fishing when we do that too. You know, so we're not. You know, there's a lot bigger smallmouth in some of those lakes and stuff like that where you see them bass fishing for them. But that is fun. I mean, you go down those rivers with the ultralight, or you know, you got 4 to 6 pound test line. That's it, and you hook in one of those things. And
you catch a 1 pound smallmouth, you think you got a 5 pound largemouth on there.
They're very aggressive.
Largemouth's still my favorite.
Is it?
I'd rather eat catfish.
Mine's any
I love
fish
bass
light.
fishing.
I want to just catch any fish that's light.
Fishing.
I
I
don't
like
care.
catfishing too, but I love bass fishing.
Catfishing's fun when you can get on them and when you time it right.
Yeah.
We used to go to Tunica Cutoff before they put the levee across it, and Daddy would watch the Mississippi River.
Catch it falling.
When it was falling about a foot and a half a day, we was going fishing, and you'd catch 60, 70 catfish. Just as soon as it hit the water, you was catching them. And all the fish were coming out of the lake, going to the river.
Literally have 2 poles. You throw one out, bait the second one, and when you threw it out, you was setting the first one. I mean,
it was wide open fishing. It was fun, you know.
That's been 20 years ago, probably.
I fished some sandbars on the river and had fun. David Magnus, who got a guide service out there in the Mississippi River, he took Michael down there with him, and man, we had a ball catching big cats.
What's his guide service name in case anybody's interested?
Catting around.
Just catting around.
Catting around.
Yeah, catting around guide service.
I still got to get him up.
If y'all hadn't done that, man, it's a.
His wife caught one this weekend. It was
flathead.
60 pounds.
It was a flathead too. Yeah.
He catches some big ones.
He knows the river for sure.
That is a different fish when you catch one that big. You know the way it fights and stuff like that. You catch those smaller catfish, they want to roll and toss around, and you catch a big fish like that, it's a gradual
like
pull.
Bus. Yeah.
Yeah, and you don't. I mean, I don't even know if he knows he's hooked sometimes until you know.
Yeah. That's kind of like when we go deep sea fishing and fishing the bottom. I mean, those fish ain't necessarily fighting as much as you just bringing up a lot of weight until you know. I've hooked in some sharks down there that, man, they will wear you out. There ain't nothing. I ain't seen much fight more than a big shark.
Well, I can say
fight them for an hour and a half.
The guy that we went fishing with down there at Orange Beach, he puts you on some big fish.
Yeah. Oh yeah. What was his Wild Orange?
Wild Orange charter service.
Yeah, it's good.
Yeah,
I've had some of the most fun I've had fishing has been deep sea fishing. It's totally different than anything we do around here. But some of the worst I've been, man. You get
that's gonna roll us right off into your best fishing story.
I don't know, but that ain't my best one. That's the worst. That's probably the worst.
Man.
I can't think.
That was a tough ride.
I was ready to buy the boat to come back. I was like, whatever it takes.
So,
we're coming back.
So it was me and Malcolm, Heath Riles, Chris, our sales rep,
and Jeff,
all on the boat. And pretty much that morning, what do you say, 6 or 8 foot waves probably?
It was, he said 1 to 2. I was like,
no.
1 to 2's my butt.
No. I think we was the only boat in the whole bay that went out. That day.
Yeah, everybody else said, no, and folks canceled. He's like, oh, we'll be all right. Just once we get out of the flats, it won't be bad. It never checked up.
You never seen any flats.
I had a cabin, and I didn't even go out on the back deck to get started. Because we was going out, and you could see a window from the cabin, and this boat's a big boat, and the window's underwater. I mean, we're hitting waves, and it's like
it was waves. It was
it's like Deadliest Catch. You see the guys out there, and I knew it was bad when the deckhand. You know, you always go to deckhands. They go out there, they get the poles going, they start getting the bait ready. Well, he's out there, and it's throwing him around left and right. Couldn't even stand up. He comes back in and puts on his gear. Like he's got the Hungry Fisherman hood, the yellow suit, the boots. And I said, man, what's this dude doing? He was gearing up. I mean, I was like, man, we ain't got that kind of stuff with us. Here we are.
We feel left out now.
Yeah, we got the beer.
And it wasn't enough of that to get you back right.
I didn't even drink one.
No.
Not one.
So I had Heath on one side of me and Malcolm out in the middle. Malcolm's on the other side.
Probably would have been all right.
The garbage cans by Malcolm. I looked at Heath, and I'm like, Heath, you all right? He's like, oh, man, I'm good. I'm good. He said, but if I tap you on the shoulder,
give me that
the
garbage
trash can.
And I'm sitting there.
And no sooner I got the words out of my mouth, man, Heath's about to knock me out of the seat. And, man, him and Malcolm went calling the dinosaurs in.
I passed him the trash can. He goes to puking in, and all of a sudden that sets me off. We're sharing. There's nothing worse than sharing a pukey garbage can.
So all you smelt in the
It
cabin of
is
the boat.
the war, and this went on for like 2.5, 3 hours. Like we got so bad, you didn't even have nothing else to throw up. It was just hurting.
It was
and sweating, and it was and the whole time they're out there trying to. I don't know how they're fishing.
Oh, I had to get
like-
out of the boat. I couldn't stay. It smelled like
Oh yeah, you
and
could
diesel fuel in there.
If I'd have made it out
Stay in
there,
it.
I'd probably thrown it off the boat. It was bad.
You'd have jumped, just swam
Yeah.
back.
Oh yeah, I started.
Oh, no, I
to.
will
So you
give
get
my-
me close.
Malcolm told the guy, he's like, man, I don't know how much this boat cost, but I will buy it if you'll carry me back right now.
We was going back. Like I was, and then one time I was going to get up there. They were all outside. I was going to just drive it back, call SOS on the radio or something. We had to have some relief.
Oh, Heath and Malcolm
It
was bad.
Oh, it was bad. And it took me a minute to get back on one, and I don't know if I'll go back with that dude. He's a good captain, but I
ain't
would
scared.
not. Yeah, y'all went back out the next
The
day.
next day, we're like, Malcolm,
Nope.
it was the smoothest table. It wasn't a wrinkle in the water. And Malcolm said, he told Malcolm, if you go, I'll go. Malcolm like, hell no, I ain't going.
Now I go out with the Lady Ann out Dolphin
Ann.
Island. That guy ain't steered me wrong yet.
We caught some fish, but it was
not worth
rough.
it.
It was rough.
Yeah.
I've been out there when it's been pretty rough. Not that bad. I didn't get sick or anything, but he wouldn't go out no further. You never lost sight of the bank. It was.
No, we was out.
Yeah, we was out.
It was, we were miles out.
But that is something cool. The year after that we went out about 30 miles, and where you see the color of the water change.
The blue water, get to the blue water.
Man, that's awesome.
Oh yeah, we were way past that. We was out.
That's a bad feeling if you ain't.
Oh, don't get off of it
that
either.
is-
Man,
It is
not until you
awful.
get back.
As soon as you step on that dock, though, it's gone.
Mine was when we got back through the pass.
You
It
felt
was like-
better.
yeah, it was. You could go outside and get fresh air, and that's what somebody told me is like if you ever get in that situation, get outside, no matter what it takes, and get you some fresh air. Don't just stay in a cabin.
Oh, outside, it was all. I mean, you
So
could
you could
not
hang
stand
on,
up.
wasn't it? Yeah, yeah.
I didn't have a dry stitch of clothes on me. We was drowning.
No, and you got Deadliest Catch over there running back
Yeah.
and forth.
Baiting you
These
up.
hooks
Bait
that
hooks,
big.
yeah, weight swinging. I mean, that's not fun.
I'm glad
There ain't
I
a
was
fish
not
I'm
in
that
that
mad
cabin
at.
because I wouldn't. Well, I'd have probably been Dramamined up. Y'all went to
I was-
gagging,
I was.
throwing up. I'd have threw
I
up
swear that
everywhere.
was my problem taking that. That's the first time I ever took you that stuff. And I think that made me sicker
Oh, really?
if I would have just went normal.
You
wasn't
might have been a
Dramamine,
little
it was
blue
something
around the
else.
gills the
Oh,
night
I was
before.
very blue from the night before. See,
You didn't go in there with your right foot
I
headed
didn't
forward.
prep. I didn't. I did not.
I mean, we pulled up at the dock. We tie up to the boat, pull up there, and I turn around and look. I mean, Malcolm and Heath both, they already done Uber. They had that lined up before we touched ground. They were gone. We didn't know where they was at.
I got off the boat. I was in a car back at the condo
Before we got the boat
Before
tied.
they ever got the boat tied. As soon as he got close enough for me to jump from that boat to the dock, I was gone.
Malcolm's pretty agile
Never
when he's
checked
ready
up.
to go.
Never checked up. Never checked up.
Oh, man, I hurt myself.
All right, to wrap it up for our fishing episode,
Don't go out when it's 6 foot waves.
Yeah, do not.
what would be your ultimate fishing trip? I know mine. I'll start it. It don't matter. I want to do an overnight tuna trip.
Oh, don't do it on 6
Malcolm's out.
Yeah, I'm out.
I want to do an overnight tuna trip.
I know the guy. Wild Orange does them.
And I want to eat that tuna as soon as it hits the boat. I want to try it that fresh.
Darren did it.
I
Darren
could
said
probably
best.
say that. I'm like
That would be, and you'd have to go, and two, that you pick your group wisely. You'd have to go with a group of like-minded fellows
Yeah.
and go have a good time. And I've always, that's been like a dream of mine, is to eat that tuna that fresh.
Yeah. You don't have to, you can go down to Louisiana and go out there and get the tuna waters fast and not have to go overnight.
But that would be
But
mine.
yeah, that would be cool. I don't know about staying on that boat overnight. It just depends on what the season's like. I checked yesterday on a guy that we're going out with in the summer, and he was like, in one of the pictures, they're holding up big tuna. They went out there, but man, you can see the wave way up over. He's like, it was a little rough. If they say it's rough,
It's real
like
rough.
you ain't nothing
Yeah.
you've seen. Yeah.
Well, I believe our boat guy did say the next day, like, yeah, we shouldn't went out.
Yeah, the next day. He just wanted that money.
What would be yours?
I don't know, man. That's tough to call because I don't know if I could pick just one. I'll tell you what I'd like to do. I'd like to go down to Mexico and catch some of those big bass, and
Peacock
go
bass.
duck hunting at the same time. You can fish. You can duck hunt in the mornings and then bass fish in the evenings. That'd be probably ultimate.
Yeah, that'd be a good one.
Realistically speaking, I still want to go out to David Magnus. I want.
Oh yeah, no, that's fun.
I want to hook a big
Do it,
catfish.
yeah, that's fun.
I think that
Trophy catfishing. That's different than just going and catching a
And
cat.
to me, I'm sorry, but them big old fish, that belly meat's hard to beat. Man, I like it.
Oh, I was too fishy. I can't do it.
I
They're
love
going
it.
back in the water.
Yeah, I like them pond raised eaters.
Yeah.
I ain't big on eating caught catfish, man. Just I don't know. It's
To me, some of them big yellow cats, the belly meat's not fishy to me at all.
I can't do it.
Now, I ain't gonna eat no big blue cat, but
the
Mine ain't the
flathead,
fishing. It's just the texture of them.
really
I don't like that.
It's like
either.
big grains of
flaky.
Flake.
see, I want
meat.
like
Yeah.
I like a good bite of crispy catfish, like little thin, like buffet cuts. They're
Yeah.
great, but I still want me a big thick
Do
fillet.
you? Yeah.
I like that meat.
I'll never
Well,
keep a
mine's-
fish over 10 pounds again. It's going back
Thinner.
in the
I
water.
like it thin, fried, crispy.
Malcolm like his out there at Square Pond. Malcolm fished.
square pot. That's
Give me I'll give you Daddy's phone number.
Yeah. Bring your flashlight.
What's yours, Mikey?
Man, I don't know. I like the tuna idea, but watching them fishing those.
you would not like it.
Well, I probably couldn't do it anyways. By the time if I woke up and I was bobbing up and down, I'm
yeah,
sick.
over with.
oh, yeah.
I'm done. I got bad motion sickness, but probably getting on one of those rivers like over in Brazil or something where they catch some of those just
Monster
exotic
fish.
fish.
yeah,
they
just
get
exotic
monster
fish that we don't
Man,
catch here. Because I've caught every freshwater fish there is. Just about.
I'd be scared. Half them fish can eat you.
Yeah,
They come up
no
with some
joke.
teeth like monster teeth.
You can go down there. You got to go down to like the Keys and catch some tarpon.
Yeah,
They do them little
Yeah.
boats. Fly fish for them.
Now some of that stuff like them guys do down in like South America on that, man,
Yeah.
that scares the crap out of
I'm
me.
gonna tell you a fun trip. If you've never done it, it's going red fishing down in Louisiana inshore.
Let's go.
See, I've never been.
You can do it.
Let's
Go down
book
there.
it this summer.
Yeah,
We'll be
let's
through
do
with
that.
we'll be through with barbecue after members of May.
Yeah, there you go. I'll go for sure. It's really better not in the summer. I mean, you can catch them anytime, but you catch them like in October when the weather starts getting right. Man, catch some big.
Well, I know who my boss is, and he kind of sets your schedule. So
yeah, we might have to set that up.
Came to La Siesta one night.
yeah,
Like
we
two
can get it.
margaritas
We can get it
in.
booked.
Yeah.
Everything.
But that about wraps us up today. I
Yeah.
think we went a little over our estimated time. That's all right. We get to tell them fish tales, man. That's as good as hunting stories there.
Did you cook any fish this weekend?
I did.
Did
I
you?
cooked crappie. I cooked crappie and a few fillets of catfish, and man, they were really good. There's something about it, you just can't beat it.
I love me some catfish.
Yeah.
I ain't got crappie to where I'd.
Really?
I like. I don't get me wrong. I like crappie, but I've said it before. I really eat a catfish
Yeah.
fillet any day.
Yeah, we made.
Catfish
In
guy,
fact,
too.
we had a little bit left over. Shell put them in the air fryer last night, and we made crappie fish tacos. Dude,
I bet that was good.
real good.
As a matter
real
of fact, the
good.
bass we caught at your place last year. That's what
Yeah.
me and my wife did. We did fish tacos. They were good.
If I hadn't had them crappies laid out, I'd have kept some of them bass. We still need to go down there and do it. I just wanted all of us to be down there and we do a fish fry.
Got to find a weekend. We can do it though. Well, Malcolm, you want to wrap it up? Tell them where they can find
Yeah,
us.
I tell you what, if appreciate y'all hanging out with us today, and you can find us on, of course, YouTube, but we're on Facebook. We're going to start doing some TikTok stuff too. And Tyler, am I leaving anything out? I know you're down there.
Nah, you hit it good. Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube.
All right. Well, hey, we appreciate y'all listening to us, and we'll be back next week to talk about some of our favorite outdoors things. We gone.